Victor Hale strode into Belle Epoque, Manhattan's crown jewel of fine dining, with the effortless arrogance of a man who owned half the city's skyline. At 33, he was a tech prodigy turned investment titan, his net worth eclipsing $7 billion. Tonight, boredom gnawed at him like an unwelcome companion. The board meetings had dragged on, filled with sycophants parroting conventional wisdom. He craved something real, something unpredictable. Seated at his usual corner table, Victor scrolled through his phone, ignoring the opulent surroundings. The restaurant buzzed with the elite, Wall Street sharks in tailored suits, celebrities hiding behind oversized sunglasses. His server approached, a young woman with composed features and intelligent eyes that betrayed no intimidation. "Good evening, sir. What can I get for you?" she asked, her voice steady and professional. Victor glanced up briefly, smirking. "I'll have the financial advice with a side of sparkling water." Sophia Reed paused, her pen hovering over the notepad. After 8 grueling hours on her feet, dealing with entitled patrons was the last thing she needed. Yet she kept her calm, blue eyes narrowing just a fraction. "I'm sorry, sir, that's not on the menu." He finally looked at her properly, expecting flustered deference. Instead, he met a gaze of quiet disdain. "It was a joke," he said, tapping his platinum credit card on the table. "But now I'm curious. If you had $1 million to invest today, where would you put it?" Sophia's colleagues had whispered warnings about him. Victor Hale, ruthless in boardrooms, is known for toying with people when idle. She held his stare. "Honestly, I'd diversify. 40% into emerging market ETFs focused on sustainable energy, 30% in mid-cap value stocks undervalued from recent corrections, 20% in municipal bonds for tax benefits, and 10% liquid for quick opportunities." Victor's half-smile froze. He set his phone down. "That's specific. Did you pull that from some app?" "No, sir, just my take. Now, your actual order." "Wait." He leaned forward, intrigue sparking. "Explain the emerging markets part." She glanced at her other tables. "I have customers waiting." "They can wait. Sit. 5 minutes. I'll make it worth it. I could get fired." Victor waved over the maitre d'. "Antoine, I'm borrowing your server for a chat." "Problem?" Antoine's eyes widened. "Of course not, Mr. Hale." Sophia sat reluctantly, folding her hands. "This is unprofessional." "So, was your advice? Where did it come from? Finance degree?" "Something like that. Columbia, NYU. Does it matter?" "You asked as a joke." I answered. "Fair." He chuckled, caught off guard. "Why is there sustainable energy in emerging markets? Western markets are bloated with green investments, creating bubbles. Developing nations have explosive growth in energy demand, with governments offering tax breaks that hike returns by at least 4% yearly. Fewer regulations mean faster scaling." Victor absorbed her words, his mind racing. This wasn't rote knowledge, it was sharp analysis. "Who are you? Just a server with hobbies. Now your order: ribeye, rare, truffle mac. And your name, Sophia Reed. I'll get that in." As she walked away, Victor watched her poised movements. Unlike the socialites he dated, she exuded quiet strength. He texted his security team. Background on Sophia Reed, Belle Epoque. Priority. The reply, on it, prelim by morning. Victor sipped his water, and his meal arrived promptly. He observed Sophia handling her section with efficiency, deflecting a crude remark from a tipsy broker. He added a $5,000 tip to the $300 bill when she brought the check. Her eyes widened. "This is too much. Consulting fee for the advice. Better than my team's drivel. I can't accept you will, and I'd like to discuss more professionally." She slid back the folder. Not appropriate. Cautious, he wrote his private number on a card. "Call if you change your mind. I have a proposition." "If," she corrected, pocketing it. "Trust me, it's when." Victor's phone buzzed in his Maybach with the preliminary report. Sophia Reed, 25, community college, clean record. He frowned. That financial acumen didn't match. She was hiding something, and uncovering secrets had built his empire. "Home, sir?" the driver asked. "Office. I need to dig deeper." In the locker room, Sophia stared at the card. $5,000 is the exact sum of her tuition. Coincidence? Lena, another server, noticed. You okay? Fine. Weird customer. That billionaire? Antoine was fawning. What did he want? Financial advice. Sophia smiled wryly. Lena laughed. Right. Men like him want one thing. Not this time. See you tomorrow. Outside, the October chill bit as Sophia walked to the subway. Replaying the encounter, she regretted showing her knowledge. 3 years of anonymity, risked by pride. Her phone buzzed. Rent due. Got your half? The tip would cover everything, but accepting felt like a tie she couldn't risk. Then an email. Financial aid denied. She leaned against a wall, dizzy. Without it, they'd drop out. Everything rebuilt, crumbling. He dialed Victor's number, and he answered quickly, faster than expected. I'd hear the proposition. Noon tomorrow? I have class till 2, work at 5. Class. Where? NYU part-time MBA. My office at 3. Texting address. What is it exactly? I need fresh instincts. Compensation makes serving obsolete. Too good to be true. If inappropriate, business only. I don't mix. The call ended. Sophia felt a mix of dread and hope. The next day, at 2:59, she entered Hale Capital's 87th floor. The receptionist eyed her simple outfit. Appointment? Sophia Reed for Victor Hale. Surprised confirmation. Take a seat. Ethan Lang, Victor's chief of staff, escorted her. Stern, in his 40s, offered no handshake. Through glass walls, analysts worked furiously. In Victor's corner office, views dominated. Victor waved her in, dismissing Ethan. Thanks for coming. Here, he seemed more commanding, suit impeccable. Your chief doesn't like this. Ethan dislikes most. You seem different today. No apron, more guarded. Last night, I saw a real spark. I'm always real, selectively. He laughed. I researched you. Community college serves NYU. It doesn't explain your expertise. I read. What I heard was experience. Does it matter? Your proposition. He activated a screen with investments, fresh eyes on these pre-IPO in emerging markets. Sophia studied, typing to reconfigure data. These 3 are solid, 2 are overvalued, and this is a fraud. How? Growth is too smooth, energy use doesn't match production claims, and it is 40% short. Victor stood close. You just saved me millions. My team missed it. Pattern recognition. I've seen it, not common. You're hired, exclusive, office, 7 figures. You're serious? Deadly about talent. The offer tempted her to return to her old world. But risks? I can't. Why? Complicated. Tell me. Her analysis wasn't just informed. It carried the weight of experience, the kind honed in high-stakes trading floors, not gleaned from casual reading. You make a compelling case, he said. But why sustainable energy specifically in those markets? Sophia glanced at Antoine, who nodded discreetly, granting her more time. She straightened, her professional mask slipping just enough to reveal a spark of passion. Emerging economies are transitioning rapidly. Think India or Brazil. Massive populations, surging urbanization, but outdated grids. Governments there incentivize foreign investment with subsidies and streamlined approvals. In the West, regulations stifle innovation. Here, it's a gold rush. Returns could exceed 12% annually if timed correctly, outpacing saturated sectors like U.S. tech. Victor nodded slowly. His firm had debated similar moves, but his advisors favored safer bets. This waitress had just articulated a strategy that his billion-dollar team danced around. Impressive. But how do you know this? Podcasts? Books? Personal interest? She replied evenly. Markets fascinate me. Now, if that's all, your ribeye awaits. Not yet. He studied her. You mentioned NYU. Pursuing finance? Part-time MBA. She shifted, uncomfortable under his scrutiny. But that's not relevant here. It is to me. Victor pulled out his wallet, but his mind raced elsewhere. In his world, talent like this didn't serve tables. There was a story here, one he intended to uncover. Tell me more about those mid-cap stocks. Why is it undervalued now? Market panic from the recent downturn? Fundamentals are strong, solid balance sheets, consistent earnings growth. But fear drives prices down, creating buy opportunities. She paused, then added, like after the 2020 crash. Companies like that rebounded 40% in months. He smiled genuinely for the first time. You're wasted here, Sophia stood. I appreciate the chat, Mr. Hale. I understand your food. As she departed, Victor felt a rare thrill. Not since his early days building Hale Capital had someone effortlessly challenged his assumptions. He ate mechanically, his attention drifting to her as she navigated the room gracefully, handling demands without faltering. He inscribed the generous tip when the check arrived, watching her reaction. Her composure cracked briefly, eyes widening at the figure. This is excessive, she said, returning with his card. Compensation for insights. And consider my offer seriously. She hesitated, then nodded. Good night. Victor slid into his car in the cool Manhattan air, mind abuzz. He messaged his head of security. Full background on Sophia Reed. Dig deep. Preliminary incoming, the reply buzzed. The report landed as he reached his penthouse. Sophia Reed, age 25. Employment, Belle Epoque, 2 years. Education, community college, associate degree in business. No priors, no social media footprint. Address, modest Brooklyn apartment. Financials, student loans, part-time NYU enrollment. Victor frowned, pacing his expansive living room with its panoramic views. Community college, that explained the basics, but not the nuanced grasp of ROI calculations or market bubbles. No, this was boardroom-level expertise. Perhaps an alias? Or a fallen star from finance, burned and rebuilding? He recalled his own scars. 5 years ago, a trusted partner had siphoned funds from his startup, nearly bankrupting him. The betrayal fueled his rise, teaching him to spot deception. Sophia triggered that instinct, not malice, but concealment. Why hide such talent? Sleep eluded him. By dawn, he scoured public records himself, finding nothing unusual. Yet her words echoed, tax incentives boosting ROI by 4%. Precise, actionable. He needed her on his team. Meanwhile, Sophia unlocked and shared her cramped apartment with a roommate who snored through thin walls. The tip weighed heavily in her pocket, a lifeline amid mounting bills. But accepting it felt like stepping into a spotlight she had fled. Flashbacks assaulted her. 3 years prior, as Isabella Voss, senior analyst at Thorne Financial, engaged to Marcus Thorne, heir to the empire. She had uncovered discrepancies in offshore accounts funneling insider trades. Confronting Marcus, he promised to fix it. Instead, evidence twisted against her. Forged signatures, fabricated transactions. The SEC raid destroyed her career, freezing assets and tarnishing her name. She vanished, adopting the name Sophia Reed to evade their reach. Any financial involvement risked exposure, potential charges if they spun it as a flight from justice. The tip could pay tuition, but ties to Victor Hale? Dangerous. His world intersected with the Thorne's competitors, yes, but whispers traveled fast. Still, denial of aid left her desperate. A one-time consult, no strings. Morning brought resolve. She deposited the tip discreetly, then attended class, mind divided. Professors droned on derivatives, but her thoughts lingered on Victor's proposition. Post-lecture, she texted him, available at 3. His reply, see you then. At Hale Capital, Sophia navigated security checks, and her ID was scanned thoroughly. Ethan Lang greeted her coolly, leading her to Victor's office. The space screamed power, sleek desks, holographic displays of market data. Victor rose, gesturing to a seat. Punctual. Good. You mentioned a proposition. Straight to it. He activated the wall screen displaying investment portfolios. I need unconventional thinking. My team is entrenched in old patterns. You cut through that last night. Sophia reviewed the data, her analyst instincts reigniting. These emerging plays are risky, but the solar firm here, overhyped. Their projections ignore regulatory shifts in China. Exactly what I suspected, he leaned in. Join as a consultant, anonymity if needed. 7-figure package. Her heart raced. Why me? Because you see what others miss, and I value that. She weighed risks, exposure versus freedom from scraping by. But memories of betrayal surged, Marcus's charming facade crumbling into calculation. Victor seemed different, but trust came hard. Conditional, she said. Remote work, pseudonym, full NDAs. Agreed. He extended a hand. Partners? She shook it, sealing the deal. Yet doubt lingered. As she left, Victor instructed Ethan, monitor her closely. She's exceptional, but there's more to her story. Ethan nodded, his own suspicions brewing. He had lost a fortune to a similar scandal years ago, vowing to protect Hale from insiders. This Sophia Reed? Too polished for her resume. Back home, Sophia confided in Lena over coffee. He offered a job, insane money. Lena whistled. Take it, but be careful. Billionaires play games. I know, Sophia stared at the city lights, but this could change everything. Unbeknownst to her, Victor's deeper probe began yielding clues. A gap in her history, whispers of a vanished analyst named Isabella Voss. His curiosity deepened into determination. He would uncover whatever she hid and perhaps turn it to his advantage. Sophia Reed trudged up the stairs to her cramped Brooklyn apartment, the weight of the evening pressing on her shoulders. The subway ride had been a blur, her mind replaying the conversation with Victor Hale. His tip burned in her pocket like a forbidden talisman. $5,000 that could erase her immediate worries, but might drag her back into a world she had fought to escape. She unlocked the door quietly, not wanting to wake her roommate, but Lena was still up, scrolling through her phone on the worn couch. Rough night? Lena asked, setting aside her device. You look like you just debated the devil. Something like that. Sophia collapsed beside her, pulling out the receipt. Check this tip. Lena's eyes bulged. Holy crap, $5,000? From who? Victor Hale, the billionaire. He asked for investment advice as a joke, and I gave him a real breakdown. Lena laughed, and he tipped you for it? Girl, you're in the wrong job. But seriously, what's the catch? Sophia sighed, leaning back. He wants more. A professional discussion. Gave me his private number. Lena's expression turned serious. Be careful. Guys like that don't do favors without strings. I know, but this could cover tuition and rent. She stared at the ceiling, cracks spiderwebbing like her fractured life. 3 years ago, as Isabella Voss, she had everything. A rising star at Thorne Financial, engaged to Marcus and on track for a partner. Then, the discovery of irregularities in Asian accounts caused shell companies to siphon profits through insider trades. Marcus had sworn to handle it, his eyes pleading. Trust me, Isabella, we'll fix this together. But the next day, SEC agents swarmed the office. Evidence pointed to her. Transactions authorized via her login. Offshore accounts in her name. Even emails she never sent. Marcus played the heartbroken fiancé, and his father Edward vowed justice. Her assets frozen, reputation shredded, she fled before charges stuck, scraping together a new identity. Sophia Reed, waitress, part-time student, invisible. Now, Victor offered to tempt her, but exposure could bring the Thorns' wrath, or worse, legal pursuit if they claimed she was a fugitive. Her phone buzzed, an email from NYU. Financial aid application denied. Insufficient documentation. Sophia closed her eyes, a wave of despair crashing over her. Without aid, even the tip wouldn't stretch far. Rent was due, groceries sparse. She had rebuilt meticulously, attending classes incognito, excelling in finance courses that echoed her old life. But survival meant caution. What are you thinking? Lena prodded gently. They had met at the restaurant, bonding over shared shifts and dreams. Lena, an aspiring actress, understood hiding parts of yourself. I might call him, hear the pitch. Lena squeezed her hand. You deserve better than this grind. Just protect yourself. Remember what you told me about your ex? Don't let history repeat. Sophia nodded, gratitude swelling. Lena was her anchor, the only one who knew fragments of her past without the truth. Thanks, I needed that. Sleep came fitfully, dreams haunted by Marcus's smirking face. Morning brought resolve. She deposited the tip at a corner ATM, watching the balance climb. Then, between classes, she dialed Victor's number. He answered on the second ring. "Miss Reed, prompt. I'd like to hear about that proposition." "Excellent. Free tomorrow?" "Noon. Class until 2, shift at 5. "Class?" His tone sharpened. "Where?" "NYUMBA, part-time. My office at 3. Address incoming." "Victor, what exactly is this?" Pause. "I need someone with your instincts. My consultants stick to safe plays. You think boldly." Pay makes waitressing obsolete. Sounds ideal, but if it's anything unprofessional, strictly business, I separate worlds. The call ended, and Sophia felt a knot tighten. Ideal offers hid traps. Marcus had taught her that. Yet desperation pushed her forward. The next afternoon, she navigated midtown traffic, heart pounding. Hale Capital's tower loomed, a glass monolith symbolizing the life she lost. Security scanned her bag, issuing a visitor badge. Ethan Lang met her in the lobby, his salt and pepper hair and stern gaze appraising. "Miss Reed, follow me." No small talk as they ascended. Ethan's silence felt judgmental, as if he sensed her facade. In Victor's office, panoramic views stretched to the horizon. Victor stood, buttoning his jacket. "Thank you for coming." She sat, posture rigid. "Your proposition." He paced slightly. "You impressed me. That advice? Spot on. I want you as a consultant, exclusive. Analyze deals, spot risks. Compensation, 7-figure base plus bonuses." Sophia blinked. "For what? A few chats? For your edge." "My team has degrees, but you have instinct." She hesitated, mind racing through risks. Public association could alert the thorns. Their network spanned finance, a whisper could unravel her. "I can't be public, no office, no events." He tilted his head. "Why?" "Personal reasons." "Enemies in finance, you said last night." She met his gaze. "Yes, powerful ones. Association with you could expose me." Victor considered. "Fine, remote, pseudonym CM, reports via secure channel. NDAs both ways. Why go this far? Talent wins wars in this game, and I sense you're undervalued." Undervalued. The word stung, echoing her downfall. As Isabella, she had been a prodigy, authoring reports on emerging markets that shaped Thorne's strategies. Now, reduced to shadows. "I'll need contracts reviewed. Legal will be drafted tonight." They shook on it, his grip firm. Yet as she left, doubt gnawed. Ethan escorted her out, his eyes probing. "Be cautious, Ms. Reed. Mr. Hale values loyalty." Implying? Just advice. Outside, Sophia breathed deeply. The deal offered freedom, but at what cost? Back home, Lena waited with takeout. "How did it go?" "I took it. Remote consulting." Lena hugged her. "Proud of you, but if it sours, walk." "I will." That night, Victor reviewed the deeper background his team compiled. Sophia Reed emerged 3 years ago. Before, nothing, no records, like a ghost. He smiled. "Ghosts have stories, and I'll learn yours." Sophia's first assignment arrived via encrypted email. "Review these pre-IPO prospects." She dove in, the work exhilarating. Patterns emerged, fraud signals she knew from Thorne days, mismatched energy reports, smoothed growth curves. Her report flagged one as a scam. Victor's reply, "Nailed it. Team missed. More tomorrow." The rhythm built, paychecks easing her burdens. But paranoia lingered. A shadowed figure near her subway stop? Coincidence or Thorne's reach? One evening, Lena noticed her tension. "Spill. What's eating you?" "My past. I was framed, forced to hide." Lena listened, horrified. "That's why you're cautious. But Hale seems different." "Maybe, but trust is earned." As weeks passed, Sophia's confidence grew, yet Victor probed subtly in emails. "Your insights feel experienced. Care to share background?" She deflected. Focus on work, but the pull strengthened. Victor, scarred by betrayal, saw kindred caution in her. Their alliance deepened, unaware of brewing storms. Marcus Thorne, across town, reviewed a report. Hale hiring mystery consultant, sharp on emergings. His eyes narrowed. Dig, feels familiar. The game had begun. Sophia Reed stepped off the elevator onto the 87th floor of Hale Capital headquarters, her heart pounding beneath her simple black pencil skirt and white blouse. The lobby gleamed with polished marble and abstract art, a far cry from the bustling kitchen at Belle Epoque. She had chosen her nicest outfit, but it felt inadequate among the sleek professionals hurrying past with coffee in hand. Security had been thorough. ID check, bag scan, even a quick pat-down. No chances taken in Victor Hale's empire. The receptionist, a poised woman in her 30s, glanced up from her screen. "May I help you?" "Sophia Reed is to see Victor Hale. The appointment is at 3. The woman typed rapidly, her eyebrows rising in surprise. "You're cleared. Please wait." Sophia sat on a minimalist chair, acutely aware of the stares. 3 years ago, as Isabella Voss, she would have strode confidently, designer heels clicking, credentials unchallenged. Now, she was an intruder in her former world, nerves frayed by the risk of exposure. What if someone recognized her? The Thornes' influence lingered in finance circles. Ethan Lang appeared, his serious expression unchanging. "Miss Reed, this way." He led her through open workspaces, where analysts pored over screens flashing stock tickers and graphs. No one glanced up. The hum of keyboards and murmured calls filled the air. At the corner office, Ethan knocked once before entering. Victor frowned at something Ethan whispered, then looked up and waved her in, dismissing his chief of staff with a nod. "Sophia," Victor said, standing to greet her. "Glad you made it. The office is overwhelmed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a massive desk cluttered with reports, and a hidden screen panel displaying real-time market data." Victor seemed even more imposing here, his tailored suit accentuating his authority. "Your chief of staff seems wary," she observed, taking the offered seat. "Ethan is cautious, keeps me grounded." He studied her. "You look ready for business. No apron helps. More than that, last night showed spark. Today, determination. Coffee?" "No, thanks. Let's discuss the proposition." Victor nodded, pressing a button. The wall screen illuminated with a series of investment opportunities. "I need a fresh perspective on these. Pre-IPO plays in emerging sectors. My team is split. Half push aggressively, half caution." Sophia approached the display, eyes scanning figures. "All in emerging markets. High reward but volatile." "Precisely. What do you see?" "May I?" She gestured to the keyboard. "Go ahead." She typed swiftly, pulling additional data, cross-referencing revenue projections with energy consumption logs, regulatory filings from host countries. Patterns emerged familiar from her Thorne days. These 3 have strong fundamentals, experienced management, and scalable models. These 2 are inflated market penetration assumptions. They don't hold against local competition. "And this one?" Victor pointed to a renewable energy startup, seemingly promising. "Fraud." She highlighted discrepancies. Per public utility records, reported production levels require 40% more energy than their facilities consume. The growth curve is artificially smoothed. No real business expands without quarterly variances. Cross-check with satellite imagery of their plants. Capacity doesn't match claims. Victor moved beside her, shoulder brushing hers as he examined the data. "How did you spot that?" "Experience with similar setups, common in overhyped greens." She stepped back, pulse quickening from proximity. "My analysts recommended this as the top pick. You just averted a $100 million loss." Validation surged through her, a reminder of her old prowess. But this wasn't her arena anymore. "I should head to work. Don't return to the restaurant." Victor turned, expression intense. "Consultant role? Exclusive contract. Your office here, 7-figure package." "Serious?" "Always about talent. You outshine my Ivy League grads. The offer dangled like salvation, financial security, intellectual challenge, but association with Hale Capital, a beacon for the thorns. If Marcus or Edward caught wind, I can't. Why? Not the pay. Complicated. Uncomplicated. He crossed his arms. You're overqualified for serving and hiding from what? Sophia met his gaze. Enemies in finance. Public ties endanger me. Who? Personal. Not if you join. I need full disclosure. She weighed options. Walk away, remain in shadows, or risk trust. Partial truth. I crossed influential players. Staying invisible protects everyone. Victor studied her. Anonymity then. Pseudonym contract. Private access. No public link. You do that? For someone who detects fraud, what does my team overlook? Yes. The rational voice screamed danger, but her buried ambition stirred. Contracts are ironclad and remote only. He smiled. Conditional yes? Pending review. Legal tonight. Welcome aboard. Shaking hands, electricity sparked. As she left, Victor instructed Ethan, prep her setup, remote, secure. Ethan frowned. Sir, her background, handled. Alone, Victor pondered. Her skills screamed experience. The evasion suggested scandal. His deeper probe had hinted at Isabella Voss, a vanished analyst from Thorn Financial who was implicated in insider trading. Similar expertise. Coincidence? He would wait for her to reveal, but readiness loomed. Sophia rode the subway home, mind whirling. The deal promised rebirth, but paranoia whispered. At her apartment, Lena greeted her. How was it? Accepted. Consulting. Remote. Lena beamed. Amazing. Celebrate? Soon. Sophia checked email, first assignment attached. She dove in that night, analyzing deals with precision. Her report flagged risks, proposing alternatives. Victor's response. Excellent. More tomorrow. Weeks blurred. Paychecks arrived. Tuition paid. A better apartment secured. Work thrilled. Patterns decoding like puzzles. But vigilance remained. A suspicious call from an unknown number? She blocked it. One day, Alex Kim emailed via a secure channel. Her former assistant at Thorn, now in London, is isolated after her disappearance. Isabella? Heard whispers. Need help? Sophia replied cautiously. Proof against them? Alex. Documents, but risky. Send encrypted. The alliance grew. Victor noticed her deepening insights. In a video call, he probed, Your analysis on the Vietnam tech play is brilliant. Feels like insider knowledge. Just research. More. Share? Not yet. Trust builds Sophia, as does caution. Victor's own past betrayal made him patient. But Marcus Thorn, reviewing competitor moves, noted Hale dodging bad deals. Consultant? Dig deeper. The web tightened, unseen. 2 weeks into her consulting role at Hale Capital, Sophia Reed felt a tentative sense of stability settling in. The work arrived via encrypted channels, dossiers on potential acquisitions, market analyses, and risk assessments. She tackled them from her new modest apartment in Brooklyn, a step up from the old shared space, thanks to her first paycheck. No more scraping by on tips. Now, she could focus on what she did best. Dissecting financial webs, spotting the threads that could unravel empires. The exhilaration was addictive. She used her mind thoroughly for the first time in 3 years and was the analyst within Isabella Voss, awakening from dormancy. Victor's feedback came promptly. Sharp as always, CM. Implement your recommendations. The pseudonym protected her, and the remote setup meant no office visits, no chance encounters with industry faces who might recognize her. Today marked her first in-person meeting, unavoidable for a high-stakes acquisition review. Victor had insisted, "Your insights live are invaluable." She arrived early, slipping into the conference room unnoticed. The space was sleek, with a long glass table flanked by ergonomic chairs and a massive screen dominating one wall. Victor was already there, sleeves rolled up, scrutinizing projections. Early, he noted without looking up. So are you. My company. I'm always present. He turned, smiling faintly. You seem more at ease. The role suits you. It's engaging, she admitted, choosing a seat midway down the table. The past weeks had transformed her. Better sleep, less anxiety. The intellectual rush reclaiming lost parts of herself. Just engaging? You flagged 2 frauds and uncovered embezzlement in a management team. Excelling, she shrugged off the praise. It's the job. Victor eyed her. I can't fathom why someone like you waited tables. Your knowledge surpasses my analysts. Sophia tensed. Complications, as I said, enemies. I've navigated this world for a decade. Name them. Before she could respond, the door opened. Ethan Lang entered, followed by executives, heads of legal, analytics, and operations. Ethan's glance at Sophia was sharp, laced with suspicion. All here, Ethan announced. Begin? Victor nodded, eyes lingering on Sophia. Proceed. The meeting unfolded. Charts flashed. Department leads presented on the fintech startup. Promising algorithm, but management questions. Sophia noted discrepancies silently. Consensus. Acquire? Victor asked. Nods rippled. And you, Sophia? Quiet today. Eyes turned. Ethan muttered something inaudible. Concerns, she said measuredly. Of course, Ethan interjected audibly this time. Victor shot him a look. Elaborate. Sophia stood, pulling data. The algorithm isn't proprietary. Core uses open source with tweaks. Real value is their dataset, but metrics show manipulation. Basis? The legal head frowned. Pagination artifacts in reports. Automated generation leaves patterns, but monthly versus quarterly show inconsistencies, indicating fabricated sources. Victor narrowed his eyes. Cooking books? Yes. Ethan shook his head. Absurd. 3 teams vetted. They missed reporting nuances, not numbers. And you spot these obscure artifacts? Ethan's tone dripped skepticism. Who vetted this consultant? Silence fell. I did, Victor said flatly. Her record speaks. With respect. Ethan pressed. We know zilch about her background. Enough. David. Number. Ethan pulled a file. I ran deeper checks. Without clearance. Protecting us is my duty. Sophia felt heat rise. You overstepped. Actually, necessary. Ethan addressed the room. Sophia Reed has existed for only 3 years. Before, nothing. No history, false identity or erased past. Trust her with billions? Murmurs erupted. Sophia's face paled. Victor watched her unrelentingly. Adjourned, Victor barked. Out. Except you two. Executives filed out, whispering. Door closed, Victor turned to Ethan. Never undermine me again. Jack. Reasonable. Thin ice. Ethan. Out. Ethan gathered papers, leaving with controlled fury. Alone, Victor softened. Sit. Sophia did, mind racing. Deny, partial truth, confess. True. You appeared 3 years ago? Yes. Suspected. Skills don't match the resume. She straightened. My past is irrelevant to work. Suppose it risks my firm? No. Illegal, never broke laws. Danger, what? Someone hunting you. Why change identity? Concern in his voice disarmed her. Not harm but complicated. Then explain. Ethan's right, you're hiding big. Sophia exhaled. I should leave. Running? Your pattern? Stung, because true. Protecting myself. From what? I've given anonymity, pay, and defense. What for trust? Not a trust issue. It is. He stepped closer. 3 years hiding. Face it or live in fear. Words pierced. Easy for you. Never lost all. Betrayed by. By whom? She grabbed her bag. Leaving. I know who you are. She froze at the door. Isabella Voss, former Thorne financial analyst. Rising star, implicated in insider trading. Vanished before the SEC closed. She turned slowly. How long? Suspected since the restaurant. Confirmed last week. Known for a week? Said nothing? Waiting for your trust. Trap? Hire? Wait to incriminate? Turn me in? If intended, done already. What do you want? Truth. Real story, not official narrative. Why believe me? Your work shows that the ethics fraudster lacks, and the Voss case always smelled off. Hope flickered, fragile. Doesn't matter. Reputation ruined. Unless truth emerges, she laughed bitterly. Impossible after years. Not. Criminals habitual. If framed, you, others too. Suggesting? Investigate, find a pattern, build a case. Why risk for me? He paused, expression softening. Seen power abuse crush talent like you, and your integrity outshines most I know. Sincerity touched her. 3 years alone, now an ally. Powerful one, too dangerous. For who? You hide already. I thrive on risks. Plus, Thorne is an unethical competitor. Downing them serves justice and business. Simple sounding. Won't be. Your knowledge, my resources. If we are airtight, no leaks, stop if threatened. Agreed. Partners? She took his hand. Partners. Connection formed. Trust budding amid caution. Unbeknownst, Ethan eavesdropped briefly, his past fueling distrust. Framed once, lost everything. He vowed to expose her. Across town, Marcus Thorne reviewed an alert. Hale probing old Thorne cases. Eyes narrowed. Voss? Impossible. Hunt stirred. Sophia Reed sat across from Victor Hale in the now empty conference room, the weight of Ethan's accusations hanging heavy in the air. The glass walls offered no privacy, but the executives had cleared out, leaving only the hum of the building's air system. Her mind raced through escape routes. Denial would crumble under scrutiny. Flight would confirm guilt. Partial truth might buy time, but Victor's unyielding gaze demanded more. Is what Ethan said accurate? Victor asked, his tone firm, yet not accusatory. Did you materialize 3 years ago with no prior trace? Sophia met his eyes, steeling herself. Yes. He nodded as if confirming a long-held suspicion. The gap between your expertise and your documented history was too vast. It didn't add up. My background doesn't impact my performance here. It does if it jeopardizes Hale Capital. Are you involved in anything criminal? Number. I never violated any laws. That was the truth. At least, her framing had been the crime of others. Are you in physical danger? Is someone pursuing you? That's why the identity change isn't happening. The genuine concern in his voice caught her off guard. It wasn't the interrogation she expected. It bordered on protective. It's not about harm. It's more complicated. Then clarify it for me, Sophia. I have a chief of staff convinced you're a spy, executives doubting your input, and evidence you're concealing something significant. She closed her eyes briefly, the carefully built walls cracking. Everything she had reconstructed over 3 years teetered on collapse. I need to go. Running again? Is that your go-to solution? The remark hit hard, echoing her own self-doubts. I'm not running. I'm safeguarding what I've built. From what exactly? I've provided anonymity and exceptional compensation and stood up for you against my own people. What more can I do to earn your trust? It's not about trusting you, Victor. It absolutely is. He moved closer, frustration evident. You've hidden for 3 years. At some point you choose. Live in shadows or confront whatever chases you. His words struck deep, igniting a spark of anger. That's rich coming from you. You've never had your world shattered overnight. Everything stripped away, betrayed by those closest. Betrayed by whom? Sophia grabbed her bag, heading for the door. I'm terminating the contract. I know your real identity, Victor said quietly. She froze, hand on the knob. Isabella Voss, he continued. Senior analyst at Thorne Financial, specializing in emerging markets. Considered a prodigy until 3 years ago, when you were tied to an insider trading scandal that cost investors millions. You vanished before the SEC wrapped up. Slowly, she turned, and her worst nightmare was realized. How long have you known? I had suspicions from our first encounter at the restaurant. The background confirmed it last week. You've known for a week and stayed silent. I was hoping you'd trust me enough to share it yourself. So this was a setup? Hire me, let me dig in, then expose me to the authorities? Victor's face hardened. If that were my goal, I'd have done it already. Then what do you want from me? The full truth, not the polished story that forced you into hiding. Why would you believe anything beyond the official version? Because I've observed your work these past weeks. Your ethical core doesn't fit a fraudster. And the Isabella Voss case never rang true to me, even back then. A surge of unexpected hope washed over her, dangerous in its fragility. "It doesn't matter anymore," she said, voice steadying. "The damage is permanent unless the truth surfaces." Victor held her gaze. "Tell me what really happened, Isabella." Hearing her actual name after 3 years broke the dam. "I was framed," she blurted, words tumbling out, "by my fiancé, Marcus Thorne." "Thorne? As in Edward Thorne's son, the heir?" "Yes." Isabella let out a bitter laugh. "The golden child, poised to inherit the firm. We were engaged. I thought I loved him, knew him. What went wrong?" She moved away from the door, the burden of silence lifting. "I uncovered anomalies in our Asian portfolios and significant mismatches, suggesting insider trading. Digging deeper, the trail led straight to Marcus and his father. They used proprietary firm data to front-run trades via shell companies, pocketing millions." Victor nodded, piecing it together. "And you confronted them?" "Naively, yes. I believed Marcus would rectify it. He apologized and begged for time to handle it quietly. I trusted him." The betrayal. The next morning, the SEC raided. All evidence fingered me. Documents with my forged signature, trades via my credentials, accounts in my name. A flawless setup. Victor murmured, "A perfect frame." Marcus acted devastated, his father publicly decrying my actions. They froze my assets, leaked rumors destroying my reputation. By realization, too late. "So you disappeared." "Changed my name, started from scratch. Defiant now, innocent but unprovable. I wouldn't rot in prison for their sins." Victor absorbed it, then asked, "Why not fight? Media, whistleblower protections? With what proof?" "They scrubbed incriminating data and planted the rest. My word against the Thorne dynasty. Even my family doubted me." Understanding dawned. That's why my portfolio seemed familiar, similar fraud tactics. Exactly. Victor turned to the window, contemplating the sprawling city. The Thornes have a ruthless rep, but this crosses into felony territory. Now you see why I can't link publicly to any firm. If they learn I'm back in finance, they might fear you're collecting evidence against them. Victor finished, or ensure you stay discredited. Precisely, he faced her, determination etched. "What if we proved your innocence?" Isabella scoffed. "After 3 years, evidence vanished. Perhaps not. Financial crooks repeat patterns. If they framed you, likely others. You're proposing, quiet probe. Uncover the modus operandi and assemble a dossier. Why endanger yourself for a near stranger?" Silence stretched, his vulnerability surfacing. "Because I've watched dynasties like Thorne crush talent while skating free. And in your short time here, you've demonstrated more brilliance and principle than years-long associates." The earnestness disarmed her. Isolation had made alliance foreign, yet Victor's power offered a real chance. "Too perilous," she said, conviction waning. "For whom? You're already shadowed. I've built this by calculating gambles. Besides, Thorne competes dirty. Neutralizing them aids business too. You frame it neatly. It won't be easy. Your insider intel, my assets. If pursued meticulously, no risks. Full stop if compromised. Your call on that." He extended his hand. "Partners." Isabella hesitated, then clasped it. Partners. A bond forged, trust nascent between guarded souls. What they missed. Across town, Edward Thorne eyed a report on Hale's inquiries into old scandals. "Son, handle this. Feels like Voss resurfacing." Marcus smiled coldly. "Consider it done." The counterplay ignited. For the next 2 weeks, Isabella Voss and Victor Hale operated in shadows, piecing together a case against Thorne Financial. She maintained her consulting facade as Sophia Reed by day, delivering sharp analyses on Hale Capital's deals. By night, they transformed a secure room in Victor's penthouse into their war room, walls plastered with timelines, transaction logs, and profiles of key players. The space became a sanctuary, the only place where Isabella could shed her alias completely. "I found something," Victor announced one evening, entering with a stack of printouts. Excitement lit his features, a look Isabella had learned to recognize during their intense sessions. She looked up from reviewing Thorne's Asian trades. "What? 3 additional cases mirroring yours. Talented analysts who flagged irregularities, then were suddenly accused of fraud, had their careers torpedoed." His voice carried restrained fury. Isabella examined the documents, recognition dawning. "I knew 2 of these people, sharp minds. I never bought the guilt narratives. They weren't guilty." Victor highlighted records, identical methods, falsified approvals, planted evidence, precise timing from discovery to downfall. The Thornes systematically eliminate internal threats. Vindication mixed with sorrow for her former colleagues. This establishes a pattern, but doesn't pin the Thornes directly. This might. Victor opened his laptop to an intercepted email chain between Marcus Thorne and their compliance chief, discussing containment protocols for whistleblowers. "Still circumstantial, we need direct ties to the frauds." "You're right." He ran a hand through his hair, a familiar gesture of concentration. "An insider could help. Too hazardous. Anyone with access is either complicit or muzzled." "Not always." Victor hesitated. "What about your old assistant, Alex Kim?" Isabella stared. "How do you know about Alex?" "Background diligence, to map all angles. Alex got reassigned after I vanished. No clue where now. London branch. Sidelined, promotions denied despite stellar reviews." Victor displayed Alex's profile. Memories flooded. Alex, earnest and loyal, of Korean descent, often sharing stories of his immigrant parents' drive during late-night data crunching. "He backed me when accusations flew, which likely cost him." Victor met her eyes. He could assist or alert Marcus instantly. She shook her head. Risky. Riskier than perpetual hiding? At some point, calculated leaps are essential. Before she could argue, Victor's secure phone rang. "Ethan, at this hour?" He answered on speaker. "Critical?" "Yes." Marcus Thorne called. "Wants to meet tomorrow. Mutually beneficial proposition." Isabella froze, blood chilling. Victor's gaze locked with hers. "Details?" Victor asked neutrally. "Partnership on Asian expansion. Noted your recent interest there. The markets Isabella researched." "No coincidence. Schedule it. My office, 2 p.m. Ethan paused. He inquired about your insightful consultant's phrasing. "By name?" "No, just description. My consultants are confidential." "More?" "That's it." "Concerned?" "Routine probing. Night, Ethan." The room was silent and heavy. "They know," Isabella whispered. "Suspect," Victor corrected. "Proof would bring threats, not calls. This is what I dreaded." She paced. Disappear again. New identity, new city. Victor intercepted her, hands on her shoulders. "Running plays into their hands. Reinforces your guilt story." "What option?" Voice cracked. "They ruined me once, now you too. Let them attempt." His confidence steadied her. "I'm no novice, they can bully. Hale outvalues Thorne, connections are deeper, and no suspicious exits exist in my history. You underestimate them." "I grasp precisely," hands tightened. "What you miss is my response when threats hit those I value." The declaration stunned. "After 3 years of isolation, I forgot about having a defender." "Why this, Victor, truly? You're infamous for ruthlessness. Why gamble at all?" He quieted, vulnerability emerging. "You entered my life as the first authentic element in ages." His voice lowered. "My circle seeks gain. Funds, networks, prestige. You challenged me, pierced my facade, and called my arrogance. Despite trials, your integrity shines." Raw honesty left her speechless. "Also," he added lightly, "I despise defeat. Thorns won't triumph." Despite tension, she laughed genuinely. "Plan? Feign interest in his pitch, extract intel. His ego demands assessing if I know you," she nodded. "But monitor remotely? Know Marcus best. Spot his tells, subtext. If he confirms involvement, won't." "Trust me, Isabella." Those words, once ruinous, now, from Victor, felt different. She trusted him more than anyone post-collapse. All right, but my way, minimal risks. Agreed. He checked the time. Late. Rest before tomorrow. She gathered notes, then realized. Can't return home. If tailing you, possibly me. Stay. Guest suite prepared, Victor. Secure private entrance. Undetectable. Staying in his penthouse stirred unexpected warmth just tonight. He showed her the suite. Luxurious, yet understated, with city views. For 3 years, she ran, hid, and survived. Tonight, protected. Thank you, she said at the door. He paused, eyes intense, as if contemplating more. Sleep well, Isabella. Door closed, she exhaled. Tomorrow faced her destroyer. Tonight, guarded by her redeemer. Feelings for Victor transcended alliance, unnamed but undeniable. Marcus Thorne arrived punctually at Hale Capital, exuding polished charm. Tall, handsome, old money poise, he greeted Victor like an ally, not a rival. Appreciate the time, Victor. Impressive setup. Isabella watched from an adjacent monitoring room, headset relaying audio, one-way glass concealing her. Seeing Marcus's gestures, the watch adjustment revived pain. Mistake, she murmured into the mic linked to Victor's earpiece. He's a master manipulator. Victor guided him to a seat, avoiding formality. What prompts Thorne to my threshold? We rarely overlap. Hence my visit. Complementary strengths. Your tech edge, our Asian foothold. Ideal collaboration. Timely, Victor noted. Our Asian pivot is recent. Word spreads. Your moves are astute in tricky terrains. Isabella tensed. Too pointed. Good team, Victor replied vaguely. Indeed, Marcus leaned in. Heard you onboarded a standout analyst. Uncanny market acumen. Fishing, Isabella warned. Suspects but uncertain. Always scouting talent, Victor said impassively. Of course, Marcus relaxed. Recall that messy affair with Isabella Voss years back? Her name jolted Isabella. She gripped the console. Vaguely, trading scandal analyst. Senior, Marcus corrected. Brilliant. Engaged to me, actually. Didn't know. Kept low-key. Devastating discovery. Client data for personal gain. Breach on levels, Victor observed. Precisely. Personal sting, but professional worse. Fled pre-conclusion admission. Or preservation. Your firm handles internals decisively. Marcus flickered unease, mask returning. Accountability key as you practice. When aimed right, subtle jab landed. The right people surface via actions. Worried, Isabella said. Shift. Probe recent staff churn. Victor redirected. Noted. Thorne has had high analytics turnover lately. Odd for a loyalty-focused firm. Marcus hesitated. Efficiency restructuring. Standard. Losing 4 seniors in 18 months is costly. Industry evolves. Adapt or perish. But not here for HR. Proposing a Vietnam tech joint venture. He outlined terms, surface appealing. Isabella dissected the clauses granting Thorne access to Hale's algorithms and clients. Data grab, she told Victor, a partnership facade for infiltration. Victor queried neutrally, rapping. Review with the team. Market swift, Marcus stood. Why a direct approach? Acquisition teams exist. Eye to eye with partners reveals more than data. See what? Adversary or ally, per choice. Post-departure, Victor joined Isabella. Suspicious, yes. Definitely bringing my case directly test your knowledge. Agreed. No certainty yet. Proposal trap. System access hunt. Obviously, why? What seek? Evidence of me, records, comms, implicating harbor. Then feed what they crave. What? Accept modified, limit access. Use to infiltrate theirs. Extremely risky. High stakes, high gain. Legit entry for docs proving frame. Corporate espionage is not legitimate, not if invited. Gathering crime evidence, not secrets. Isabella paced. Even access, what target? Purged long ago. Traces linger. where evidence. Compliance with regulatory requirements must be maintained. Edwards private server for sensitives. Archives via partnership is possible. Server needs physical HQ access. Victor thought, what if we had it? Break in? Walk in invited. The Thorn Gala is next month. All elites are there. Attend with recognizers? Not as Voss, as Reed. An elusive consultant debuts. Recognize me. 3 years. Changed. Hair, style, demeanor, expectation blinds. Audacious plan held promise. Marcus's move opened doors unanticipated. Massive bet. Life is best. He softened. Betting on you. Statement warmed. Foolproof plan. Contingencies. Drafting now. As strategizing began, Isabella realized a shift from reactive hiding to proactive offense. Terrifying, exhilarating. Feelings for Victor deepened beyond partnership. Vulnerability she hesitated naming. Neither knew Marcus existed, convinced. Can't prove Reed is Voss yet, but instinct screams yes. Back at Thorn Tower he phoned. Situation. Everything on Hales's consultant. All. Hunt escalated. Hunter or prey? Open question. Victor Hale sat behind his expansive desk, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the office. The meeting with Marcus Thorn was set for 2, and tension coiled in the air like a spring ready to snap. Isabella monitored from the adjacent room and set up various screens and audio feeds. The one-way glass allowed her to observe without detection, her headset tuned to every word. Victor's earpiece connected them, a lifeline in this high-stakes game. Prompt as always, Marcus arrived, exuding the charm of inherited wealth. His handshake was firm, his smile practiced, and he surveyed the space with feigned admiration. Victor, thanks for squeezing me in. Your operation here is legendary. Have a seat, Victor replied, gesturing to the lounge area rather than the desk. Less formal, more revealing. What brings you? Marcus settled, crossing his legs. Our firms could synergize, your tech innovations, our entrenched Asian networks. A partnership could dominate. Victor leaned back. Interesting timing. Our pivot to those markets is fresh. Markets talk, Marcus said smoothly. Rumors of your savvy plays in volatile zones. Isabella whispered through the mic. He's probing. Push back gently. Solid advisors, Victor said non-committally. Marcus nodded, eyes sharpening. Speaking of which, you've acquired a gem of an analyst. Uncanny instincts for patterns. Isabella's heart raced. Deflect, she urged. He's testing for confirmation. Always on the hunt for talent, Victor replied. But let's focus on your proposal. Of course. Marcus outlined the terms. Joint ventures in Vietnam and India, shared data pools, and co-developed algorithms. On paper, balanced. But Isabella dissected the subtext, spotting clauses for Thorn's access to Hale's proprietary systems. It's a surveillance play, she murmured. They want your internals to hunt for traces of me. Victor asked pointed questions, drawing out details. The conversation flowed cordially, but undercurrents swirled. As Marcus rapped, he added casually, You remember that unfortunate Isabella Voss incident at our firm? Victor's expression remained neutral. Vaguely, trading scandal. Brilliant woman, Marcus said, watching closely. Engaged to me, actually. Kept it quiet. Heartbreaking when we uncovered her misuse of data. Personal and professional betrayal, Victor observed. Exactly. She vanished before resolution, practically confessing. Marcus leaned in. Ever cross paths with similar talents? Those who seem too good, too hidden? Isabella gripped her chair. He's close. Change subject to their turnover. Victor shifted seamlessly. I've noticed Thorn's analytics department churn. For seniors gone in 18 months. Costly. Restructuring, Marcus replied, a beat too slow. Business as usual. In a loyalty-driven firm like yours, we adapt. But back to the partnership, Victor nodded, but Isabella caught a flicker in Marcus's posture. He's off balance, she said. Press on ethics. As they concluded, Victor said, I'll review, but transparency is key in alliances. Your firm's rep for internal handling raises flags. Marcus's smile thinned. Accountability matters, as I'm sure you do with your team. When warranted, post-handshake, Marcus departed. Victor locked the door and joined Isabella. Definite suspicions. Absolutely. Bringing up my case was a direct probe. No solid proof yet, or he'd be aggressive. The proposal is laced with access requests. They aim to infiltrate your systems for evidence of me. Logs, emails. Clear. The question is, what do they expect to find? Confirmation. I suggest the old Thorn data I accessed. Then we turn the tables. Accept with safeguards, then counter-infiltrate. Risky beyond measure. Calculated. We need their internals to prove the frames. This opens the door. Even if we breach, targets? Compliance vaults for archives. Edward's private server for dirt. Vaults via partnership are feasible. Server physical only. What if we gain entry? Storm Thorn Tower? Invited. All players will attend their gala next month. Me, there? With recognizers? As Sophia Reed, debuting publicly. 3 years altered. Darker hair, different carriage. They won't expect. Plan mad, but potent. Marcus's visit gifted leverage. Gamble huge. Bets to find winners. Softening, I'm wagering on us. Warmth spread. Contingencies ironclad. Already mapping. As they plotted, Isabella felt empowered. From victim to strategist, Victor is her catalyst. Emotions deepened, alliance evolving. Unseen, Ethan Lang reviewed security logs. Thorn meet? Voss ties? His past frame-up fueled vigilance. He'd uncover her. Marcus, in his limo, dialed Edward. Hale's guarded, but the consultant exists. Feels like Isabella. Handle discreetly. If she's back, end it. Understood. Shadows lengthened. Word count, 512. Wait, that's not 1,000. I need to expand to 1,000 words. The story needs to be detailed. Let me write correctly. 8. Meeting the rival. Victor Hale adjusted his tie in the reflection of his office window, the Manhattan skyline sprawling below like a conquered territory. The clock ticked toward 2, and the air hummed with anticipation. In the monitoring room next door, Isabella Voss fine-tuned her setup. Multiple screens displaying camera feeds, audio levels optimized. Her microphone linked directly to Victor's concealed earpiece. The one-way glass afforded her a clear view without risk of exposure. This meeting with Marcus Thorn wasn't just business. It was a chess move in a game where one wrong play could topple everything. Marcus arrived precisely on time, a vision of refined entitlement. Tall and impeccably dressed, he extended a hand with the warmth of a longtime associate. "Victor, gracious of you to fit me in. Your headquarters are as formidable as rumored." "Take a seat," Victor said, steering him to the informal lounge chairs instead of the conference table. Better for reading subtleties, as Isabella had advised. "What prompts this visit? Our paths rarely cross." Marcus eased into the chair, crossing his legs with casual elegance. "Precisely why I'm here. Our companies have complementary assets, cutting-edge tech integrations, and deep-rooted presence in Asian markets. A collaboration could redefine the landscape." Victor nodded thoughtfully. Timely observation. "Our expansion into those regions is relatively recent. News travels swiftly in our circles," Marcus replied, his smile unwavering. "I've heard of your maneuvers in typically challenging territories for outsiders." Isabella leaned closer to her screen, whispering in Victor's ear. "He's fishing for details on your consultant. Deflect and counter with a question about their recent deals." "We have a strong team," Victor said dismissively, "but let's hear the specifics of your proposal." "Of course." Marcus launched into the pitch, a joint venture targeting Vietnam's burgeoning tech sector and India's renewable energy boom. Shared resources, co-branded initiatives, and integrated data platforms. On the surface, the terms appeared equitable, with mutual benefits in revenue sharing and market access. As he spoke, Isabella analyzed every word, cross-referencing with her knowledge of Thorn operations. "Watch the clause on data exchange," she murmured. "It's broad enough to grant them backdoor access to your algorithms and client databases. This isn't a partnership, it's a Trojan horse for espionage." Victor interjected with probing questions, drawing out clarifications that revealed the hidden asymmetries. The conversation maintained a veneer of cordiality, but undercurrents of suspicion swirled. Wrapping up his overview, Marcus added offhandedly, "Speaking of talent, you must share your secret." Rumors swirl about a new analyst with an almost preternatural grasp of market patterns. Isabella's pulse quickened. Direct probe. Acknowledge vaguely, then pivot to their ethics scandals. "Always recruiting the best," Victor replied evenly. "But enough about us. Your firm has faced some internal turbulence lately, with high turnover in analytics. How do you maintain the edge with that instability?" Marcus paused, a micro-expression of annoyance flickering before his composure returned. "Standard restructuring for efficiency. The financial world demands adaptation. In a firm renowned for loyalty, losing key personnel so frequently seems counterproductive. We prioritize results over sentiment. But let's not digress. This partnership could," Victor cut in mildly. "Transparency is crucial in any alliance. Your handling of past internal issues raises questions about trust." Marcus's eyes narrowed slightly. "Accountability is paramount, as I'm sure you agree. We've always upheld the highest standards. When applied to the appropriate parties," Victor countered, his tone laced with implication. The exchange hung charged, meanings layered beneath the polite facade. Isabella noted Marcus's tells. A subtle shift in posture, fingers tapping his knee. "He's rattled," she said. "Push on the Voss case if he brings it up." As if on cue, Marcus steered back. "You know, this reminds me of a regrettable chapter at Thorn. Isabella Voss is a brilliant analyst, but is entangled in an insider trading mess. Ever encounter similar hidden gems that vanish under clouds?" Victor raised an eyebrow. "Vaguely recall the headlines. Unfortunate. Indeed. Engaged to me, actually. Kept private. Devastating betrayal, using firm intel for personal gain. She disappeared pre-resolution, which speaks volumes. Personal and professional double whammy." "Precisely." Marcus studied Victor. "Your consultant sounds similarly insightful. Coincidence?" Isabella gripped her console. "Deflect now. He's close to accusing." "Coincidences abound in finance," Victor said smoothly. "But let's come back to your proposal. I'll need time to vet with my team." "Markets don't wait." Marcus stood, buttoning his jacket. "Though I prefer direct dealings. Eye contact reveals more than spreadsheets. And what do you see here? A potential ally or formidable opponent, depending on your choice." Post-departure, Victor secured the office and joined Isabella. "Definite fishing expedition, no doubt. Invoking my name was a test to gauge your reaction. He lacks proof or he'd be confrontational. The proposal is riddled with access traps. They want to burrow into your systems, hunt for any trace of my logs, communications, anything to confirm and discredit. Obvious ploy. The real question, what do they anticipate finding? Evidence I'm involved? Perhaps remnants of Thorn data from my analyses? Then we flip the script. Accept with modifications to cap their reach, then use the link to probe theirs. Extremely perilous. Corporate infiltration could backfire legally. High risk, high reward. We require their internal records to substantiate the frames. This provides legitimate entry. Even with access, what to target? They've surely purged incriminating files. Large firms leave trails. Think, where would remnants linger? Isabella closed her eyes, visualizing Thorn's infrastructure. The compliance department holds immutable archives for regulatory compliance and Edward's private server for sensitive comms. Archives accessible via partnership protocols. Server demands physical intrusion at headquarters. Victor pondered. What if we secured physical access? Break into Thorn Tower? Absurd. Not breaking, walking in as guests. Their annual charity gala next month draws the entire elite. I am attending an event swarming with former colleagues. Suicide. Not as Isabella Voss. Sophia Reed, the enigmatic consultant, is making her public debut at my side. They'll recognize me. Features. Voice. 3 years have transformed you. Shorter hair, different makeup, altered posture. People see what they expect, and no one expects Voss to resurface boldly. The audacity bordered on genius. Marcus's overture had cracked open an opportunity they hadn't foreseen. It's a monumental gamble. Life thrives on them. His expression softened. For what it's worth, I'm staking on you. The conviction touched her. We need bulletproof planning, and every scenario is covered, already outlining. As they delved into strategies, Isabella felt a profound shift. No longer merely surviving, she was striking back. Victor, her unwavering partner. The line between professional alliance and deeper connection blurred, introducing vulnerability amid the thrill. Neither realized Ethan had lingered post-meeting, overhearing fragments. Voss? Thorne? Link? His own history of being framed fueled resolve. He'd dig deeper, protect Hale at any cost. Marcus, en route to Thorne Tower, reflected. Hale's is evasive, but the consultant reeks of Isabella. It's time to confirm. He messaged a contact. Accelerate surveillance on Hale. Focus on anomalies. The noose drew tighter, the game escalating. Victor Hale's penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel, perched high above Manhattan's glittering skyline. The city sprawled beneath, a chessboard of lights where every move mattered. Inside, the air was tense as Victor, Isabella Voss, and their small circle of allies huddled around a sleek glass table. Papers, laptops, and coffee cups littered the surface, evidence of hours spent plotting. The Thorne's annual gala, hosted by Marcus Thorne at the opulent Thorne Financial Headquarters, was 2 days away. It was their best chance to infiltrate the enemy's stronghold and secure the evidence needed to dismantle the Thorne empire. Isabella stood at the head of the table, her posture rigid, but her voice steady. "The server room is on the 42nd floor," she said, pointing to a blueprint projected on the wall. "It's where Marcus keeps his private emails and transaction logs. If we get those, we can prove he framed me for insider trading and expose his new shell companies." Victor leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his sharp blue eyes fixed on her. "And you're sure about the security? Cameras, guards, biometrics?" His tone wasn't doubting, but probing, a habit from years of navigating high-stakes deals. He'd been betrayed once by a business partner who'd siphoned millions, and that scar made him question every detail. Isabella nodded. "I've studied their system. Cameras cover the main halls, but the server room has a blind spot near the east vent. Guards rotate every 30 minutes, and the biometric lock needs a fingerprint and a 6-digit code. Alex can handle the code remotely." Alex Kim, Victor's former assistant, turned trusted ally, looked up from his laptop. His family's Korean heritage had taught him discipline, and his years at Thorne Financial gave him insider knowledge. "I've got a decryption script running," he said, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "If Marcus hasn't changed the protocols since I left, I can crack the code in 12 hours. But if I'm caught, it's over." His voice carried a weight. His parents had lost their savings to a financial scam years ago, driving his determination to help. Victor glanced at Ethan Lang, his current assistant, who sat quietly in the corner. Ethan's face was unreadable, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. He'd once lost a job for failing to spot a fraud scheme, and now he scrutinized every move to protect Victor's empire. "You're sure about this, Ethan?" Victor asked. "If we're wrong, the SEC could come after us instead." Ethan adjusted his glasses, his voice low. "The plan's solid, but the risk is real. If Marcus has backups off-site, we're exposed. I've got an alibi for you, client meeting logs, time-stamped, but Isabella's the weak link. Her face is known." Isabella's jaw tightened. She'd spent years hiding as Sophia Reed, rebuilding her life after Marcus's betrayal. The thought of facing him again twisted her stomach, but she pushed it down. "I can handle it," she said. "I've trained for this. Social engineering, blending in. I'll get in and out. Victor studied her, his expression softening for a moment. He remembered his betrayal, how his former partner had sold his startup secrets, leaving him to rebuild from nothing. Isabella's resilience mirrored his own, stirring something more profound than he'd admit. "All right," he said, "but you're not going alone." Lena, Isabella's co-worker from Belle Epoque, spoke up from the couch. "I can help with the disguise," she offered. Her warm, supportive presence had kept Isabella grounded through sleepless nights. "A wig, some makeup, and a gala dress will make you unrecognizable. I've got a friend in the theater who can get us prosthetics." Isabella smiled faintly, grateful for Lena's loyalty. "Thanks, Lena. I'll need all the help I can get." The plan was bold but precise. Isabella would pose as a guest, using a forged invitation Alex had hacked into the guest list. Victor would attend as himself, drawing attention with his billionaire charm to distract Marcus and his security team. Alex would work remotely, feeding Isabella the server room's access code through an encrypted earpiece. Ethan would stay back, monitoring police scanners and preparing legal defenses if things went south. Lena would handle logistics, ensuring Isabella's disguise held up under scrutiny. As the meeting wrapped up, Victor pulled Isabella aside. The penthouse's floor-to-ceiling windows framed them against the city's glow. "You don't have to do this," he said, his voice low. "We can find another way." Isabella met his gaze, her green eyes fierce. "Marcus took everything from me, my career, name, and family's trust. I need to end this." Her voice wavered, betraying the fear she'd buried. Victor reached out, his hand brushing hers, a silent promise of protection. The air between them crackled with unspoken feelings, but Isabella pulled back. "We need to focus," she said, though her heart raced. The next day, preparations intensified. Lena arrived with a sleek black gown and a prosthetic nose that subtly altered Isabella's features. "You're a new woman," Lena said, adjusting the wig. "Even I wouldn't recognize you." Isabella practiced her cover story. She was Claire Dupont, an investor from Paris with a vague but convincing backstory. Alex sent an encrypted email with the server room's partial code. 4 digits cracked, 2 to go. "It's tight," he warned over a secure call. "If Marcus's team notices the breach, they'll lock the system down." His parents' financial ruin fueled his focus. He couldn't fail. Victor, meanwhile, prepared his own role. He'd wear a tailored tuxedo and play the arrogant tycoon, engaging Marcus in a public debate about market trends to keep him distracted. But privately, he worried about Isabella. Her courage impressed him, but the gala was a lion's den. If Marcus recognized her, the consequences would be brutal. That night, Isabella stood alone in the penthouse's guest room, staring at her reflection. The gown hugged her frame, and the disguise was flawless, but her hands trembled. She thought of her family, estranged after Marcus's lies, and the years she'd spent running. This was her chance to reclaim her life. She whispered to herself, "You can do this." Victor knocked softly, stepping inside. "You look different," he said, a faint smile breaking his usual stoic demeanor. "But it's still you." He handed her a small earpiece. "Alex will guide you. I'll be right there, creating chaos if needed." Isabella nodded, slipping the earpiece in. "Let's do this," she said, her voice steady now. The gala loomed, a high-stakes game where one wrong move could unravel everything. But with Victor, Alex, Lena, and even Ethan in her corner, Isabella felt a spark of hope. The Thorns had underestimated her once. They wouldn't get a second chance. The Thorn Financial Gala pulsed with decadence, a glittering spectacle in the heart of Manhattan. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across the grand ballroom of Thorn Tower, where New York's elite mingled in tailored tuxedos and shimmering gowns. The air buzzed with clinking glasses, murmured deals, and the hum of ambition. Isabella Voss, disguised as Claire Dupont, moved through the crowd with practiced grace, her black gown flowing like liquid night. The prosthetic nose and chestnut wig altered her features just enough, but her heart pounded as she scanned for Marcus Thorn. One wrong glance could end everything. Victor Hale, resplendent in a tailored tuxedo, commanded attention across the room. His effortless charisma drew a cluster of investors, their laughter loud as he spun tales of market conquests. But his eyes flicked toward Isabella, tracking her progress. Their plan was a tightrope. She would slip into the server room on the 42nd floor, retrieve the USB with incriminating emails, and escape before Marcus or his security team noticed. Victor's job was to keep Marcus occupied, a task he relished for its audacity. Isabella's earpiece crackled softly. Alex Kim's voice, steady despite the stakes, came through. Codes almost cracked. 5 digits down, 1 to go. You've got a 15-minute window before the guards rotate. Alex sat miles away in a nondescript Brooklyn apartment, his laptop screen glowing with lines of decryption script. His parents' financial ruin at the hands of a similar fraud fueled his focus. Failure wasn't an option. Isabella murmured a response, her French accent flawless as Claire Dupont. Understood. Heading to the east stairwell, she wove through the crowd, avoiding eye contact with the black-suited security guards near the exits. The gala's opulence masked its fortress-like security. Cameras swept every corner, and RFID scanners checked guest invitations. Lena had forged Isabella's invite perfectly, but the server room's biometric lock was the genuine hurdle. Victor, meanwhile, spotted Marcus Thorne across the ballroom. The man's angular face and cold gray eyes hadn't changed since their last encounter. Marcus approached, a shark in a bespoke suit, his smile all teeth. "Victor Hale," he said, extending a hand. "Still chasing unicorns in the tech market?" Victor gripped his hand firmly, matching the smile. "Only the ones that pay." "You're still betting on fossil fuels, Marcus? Risky move." His tone was light, but the jab was deliberate, meant to needle Marcus into a debate. The longer Marcus talked, the more time Isabella had. On the 42nd floor, Isabella reached the server room's access corridor. As she'd predicted, the east vent was a blind spot, no cameras. She knelt, slipping a compact toolkit from her clutch. The vent cover came off silently, revealing a narrow duct. Her training in social engineering hadn't included crawling through vents, but she was a harsh teacher. She slid inside, the tight space amplifying her shallow breaths. Alex's voice buzzed again. "Codes in. 7-4-9-2-1-8. Fingerprints the issue. You'll need to spoof Marcus's print. Use the gel pad I gave you." Isabella pulled a transparent film from her clutch, a replica of Marcus's thumbprint Alex had reconstructed from a stolen glass. Her hands were steady, but sweat beaded on her forehead. The weight of her past, Marcus's betrayal, the years of hiding as Sophia Reed, pressed against her. Downstairs, Victor escalated his distraction. "Your offshore accounts must be thriving," he roared, drawing curious glances. Marcus's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. "Careful, Hale. Loose talk gets expensive." Victor laughed, clapping Marcus on the shoulder. "Just keeping you honest." The crowd chuckled, but Marcus's gaze darted toward the elevators, a flicker of suspicion. Isabella reached the server room's door. She pressed the gel pad to the biometric scanner and punched in the code. The lock clicked green. Inside, rows of humming servers glowed faintly, their fans a low drone. She plugged a custom USB into the main terminal, initiating Alex's data extraction script. "I'm in," she whispered. "How long?" 3 minutes, Alex replied. "Stay sharp. If security pings the server, we're done." His fingers hovered over his keyboard, ready to sever the connection if needed. At the penthouse, Ethan Lang monitored police scanners, his alibi logs ready to cover Victor's tracks. Stationed in a nearby van, Lena watched the gala's external cameras, her theater friend's tech skills proving invaluable. The extraction bar crept to 60%. Isabella's pulse raced as footsteps echoed outside. A guard, early for the rotation. She ducked behind a server rack, her gown catching on a cable. The door opened, and a flashlight beam swept the room. "Anyone here?" the guard called, his voice gruff. Isabella held her breath, praying the shadows hid her. Downstairs, Marcus's suspicion grew. He excused himself from Victor, heading toward the elevators. Victor improvised, grabbing a champagne flute and stumbling into a server, sending glasses crashing. "My apologies!" he boomed, drawing every eye. Marcus paused, torn between the commotion and his instincts. Victor caught his arm. "Let's talk shop, Marcus. I hear you're eyeing a merger. The extraction hit 100%. Isabella yanked the USB free, her hands trembling. The guard's flashlight passed inches from her. As he turned to leave, her gown rustled. He spun back, drawing his radio. "Intruder, server room!" Isabella bolted, diving for the vent as alarms blared. She crawled frantically, the USB clutched tight, emerging in the corridor as boots thundered behind her. "Get out now," he hissed, abandoning Marcus mid-sentence. He pushed through the crowd, heading for the service exit where Lena waited. Now alert, Marcus barked orders to his security team, eyes scanning for Claire DuPont. Isabella shed her wig and prosthetics in a stairwell, reverting to Sophia Reed's appearance. She slipped into a side hall, blending with fleeing guests as security locked down the exits. Lena's van pulled up outside, and Isabella dove in, breathless. "Got it," she gasped, holding up the USB. Lena grinned, hitting the gas. Victor reached the exit moments later, his face calm but his mind racing. The USB held emails proving that Marcus framed Isabella and linked him to new fraud schemes. But Marcus's final glare as Victor left the gala was a promise of retaliation. The fight wasn't over. Back in the van, Isabella leaned against the seat, adrenaline fading. Lena squeezed her hand. "You're a badass, Sophia." Isabella managed a shaky smile, but her thoughts were on Victor. His distraction had saved her, and the memory of his touch lingered. The USB was their victory, but the Thorns' shadow loomed larger than ever. The safe house was a nondescript loft in Brooklyn, its bare brick walls and sparse furniture starkly contrasting with the Thorn Gala's opulence. Isabella Voss sat at a worn wooden table, the USB drive in her hand, its weight heavier than its size suggested. The device held emails proving Marcus Thorn framed her for insider trading, alongside evidence of his new shell companies funneling millions through offshore accounts. Across from her, Victor Hale leaned forward, his jaw tight, his blue eyes scanning the laptop screen where Alex Kim decrypted the final files. The air crackled with anticipation, but danger lingered. Marcus wasn't finished. Alex's fingers danced over his keyboard, his face lit by the screen's glow. "It's all here," he said, his voice steady despite the stakes. Emails from Marcus to his father Edward Thorn, detailing how they planted fake trades under Isabella's name. Plus, transactions linking their shell companies to illegal energy deals. His Korean heritage fueled his resolve. His parents' financial ruin from a similar scam drove him to ensure every detail was airtight. Victor nodded, his mind racing. He'd built his empire after a betrayal cost him his first startup, and he knew the cost of underestimating an enemy. "Can we get this to the SEC anonymously?" he asked, glancing at Ethan Lang, who stood by the window, monitoring the street below. Ethan adjusted his glasses, his expression grim. "Possible, but risky. The SEC will dig into the source. If they trace it to us, Marcus could spin it as tampering. I've got legal defenses ready, client logs, alibis, but we need to move fast." His past failure to spot a fraud scheme made him hyper-vigilant, and he'd spent hours ensuring their tracks were covered. Isabella's grip tightened on the U. She'd already arranged a secure drop-off for the files. The plan took shape. Alex would anonymize the data, stripping metadata to protect their identities. Lena would deliver it to the journalist. Ethan would monitor legal fallout, ready to deflect any counterattacks from Marcus's lawyers. Victor and Isabella would confront Marcus directly, ensuring he knew who brought him down. It was a gamble, but Isabella's resolve fueled them all. Hours later, they stood outside Thorn Tower, its glass facade looming in the pre-dawn chill. The gala's chaos had subsided, but security was tight. Victor had used his connections to arrange a meeting, claiming a business proposal. Marcus waited in his penthouse office, unaware of the storm coming. The elevator ride was silent, Isabella's heart pounding. She wore no disguise now, her true face exposed. Victor stood beside her, his presence steadying. "You sure about this?" he asked softly, his hand brushing hers. The memory of their shared moments, the spark in his penthouse, the trust built through danger, hung between them. "I have to face him," she said. "For me. For my family." Her parents had doubted her after Marcus's lies, and the pain still stung. This was her chance to prove the truth. The doors opened to Marcus's office, a sleek expanse of marble and glass. He stood by the window, his angular face smug. "Victor," he greeted, then froze as he saw Isabella. "You." His voice was a low hiss, his gray eyes narrowing. Surprised, Isabella stepped forward, her voice cold. "You thought you'd buried me, Marcus. But I'm here and have everything, your emails, deals, and lies." Marcus laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "You think you can touch me? My lawyers will bury you again. You're nothing." But his hands twitched, betraying his unease. Victor stepped in, his presence commanding. "Check the news, Marcus. The Post has your emails. The SEC's already moving. You're done." He slid a tablet across the desk, open to a breaking story. "Thorn Financial implicated in fraud scandal." Marcus's face paled as he scrolled, the evidence undeniable. "You framed me," Isabella said, her voice rising. "You used fake accounts, ruined my life, and thought you'd walk away." "Not this time." She tossed a printed email onto the desk, Marcus's instructions to Edward, detailing her frame-up. Marcus lunged for the paper, but Victor blocked him. "Don't," Victor warned, his voice steel. "It's over." Security burst in, alerted by Marcus's panic button, but Ethan's groundwork paid off. His fabricated logs placed Victor and Isabella at a client meeting, untouchable for now. Marcus's eyes darted between them, desperation replacing his arrogance. "You'll pay," he spat. "My father's network is bigger than you know." Isabella stepped closer, unflinching. "Tell Edward I'm coming for him next." Her words were a promise, forged in years of pain. Marcus was led away by his own guards, his empire crumbling. Outside, dawn broke over Manhattan. Isabella and Victor stood on the sidewalk, the city waking around them. Lena arrived, her van idling nearby. "The story's live," she said, grinning. "You did it, Sophia." "Isabella," she corrected softly, reclaiming her name. She turned to Victor, her voice catching. "Thank you for believing me." Victor's smile was rare, genuine. "You're unstoppable," he said, lingering on her arm. Their connection deepened, a bond forged in trust and shared battles. But the victory was bittersweet. At a small diner later that day, Isabella called her parents. "It's me," she said, tears welling as she explained the truth. Their voices, hesitant at first, softened with regret. "Come home," her mother said, and Isabella's heart lifted. Yet Marcus's final threat echoed. Edward Thorn and his network remained a shadow, waiting to strike. Victor and Isabella exchanged a glance, knowing the fight wasn't over. They'd won this battle, but the war loomed, and they'd face it together. The Manhattan skyline sparkled under a crisp autumn sun, its towers a testament to ambition and resilience. Isabella Voss stood on the balcony of Victor Hale's penthouse, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee. The city below buzzed with life, unaware of the battle she'd just won. Marcus Thorn was behind bars, his fraud exposed by the USB's damning emails, now splashed across every major news outlet. The SEC had frozen Thorn Financial's assets, and Edward Thorn, Marcus's father, had vanished, likely hiding in some offshore haven. But for Isabella, the victory was personal. She was no longer Sophia Reed, the fugitive, but Isabella Voss, exonerated and free. Victor joined her, his tailored suit replaced by a casual sweater, a rare glimpse of the man beneath the billionaire facade. "You're quiet," he said, leaning against the railing. His blue eyes, usually sharp with calculation, softened as they met hers. The betrayal that had hardened him years ago, when a partner sold his startup secrets, had taught him to guard his heart, but Isabella had broken through. "Just thinking," Isabella said, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "It's over," But it doesn't feel finished. She'd spent years running from Marcus's lies, rebuilding herself after he framed her for insider trading. With her name cleared, she faced a new challenge, building a future. Victor nodded, understanding her unspoken fears. Edward's still out there. His network won't let this go. He paused, then added, "But you're not alone anymore." Inside, the loft was a hive of activity. Alex Kim sat at the dining table, his laptop open, analyzing data from the Thorn files. His parents' loss to a financial scam drove his relentless work ethic, and his Korean heritage grounded his sense of duty. "I found traces of Edward's accounts in the Caymans," he said, not looking up. "He's gone dark, but I'll keep digging." His role had grown from ex-assistant to indispensable ally, and Isabella trusted his quiet determination. Ever the emotional anchor, Lena bustled in with takeout from a nearby Korean diner, a nod to Alex's roots. "Food's here," she called, setting down containers of bibimbap and kimchi. Her warmth had carried Isabella through the darkest moments, and now she radiated pride. "You're a hero, Isabella. Eat something, you've earned it." Ethan Lang lingered near the window, his phone buzzing with updates from legal contacts. His past failure to spot a fraud scheme made him meticulous, and he'd spent the night ensuring no loose ends tied back to them. "The SEC's moving fast," he said. "Marcus's plea deal might expose Edward, but we must stay clean." Isabella smiled faintly, grateful for her makeshift family. Together, they'd toppled an empire, but the shadow of Edward's network loomed. She and Victor had a plan, born in the quiet hours after the gala. A new venture, a foundation to combat financial fraud. The Voss Hale Ethics Fund would be called a beacon for victims like Isabella and Alex's parents. The idea had sparked during a late-night talk, when Isabella confessed her dream of helping others reclaim their lives. "We start small," Victor said, gesturing to the city. "Crowdfund the first million, then leverage my contacts for grants. We'll hire forensic accountants, lawyers, and tech experts like Alex." His voice carried the confidence of a man who'd rebuilt his life from ashes. But his glance at Isabella held something more profound. A partnership beyond business. Isabella nodded, her resolve hardening. "We'll focus on international cases too. Places where fraud hits hardest. Emerging markets, vulnerable communities." Her time as Sophia Reed, scraping by as a waitress, had taught her the human cost of greed. She wanted to honor that struggle. The foundation's first act was personal. Isabella had reconnected with her family, her parents' voices cracking with regret over the phone. They'd believed Marcus's lies, but the truth had mended old wounds. Last week, she'd visited their modest home in upstate New York, sharing a tearful dinner. Her mother's hug lingered in her memory, a promise of healing. But the past wasn't done with her. A cryptic email arrived that morning and was forwarded by Alex from an encrypted server. "You think you've won? The thorns never fall." No signature, but Edward's presence was unmistakable. Isabella shared it with Victor, her jaw tight. "He's taunting us." Victor's hand rested on her shoulder, steadying her. "Let him try. We'll be ready." His trust in her, built through shared risks, had become a quiet strength. Their bond had deepened, unspoken feelings simmering beneath their partnership. Last night, over glasses of wine, they'd laughed about their first meeting, his arrogant test, her bold investment advice. The memory felt like a lifetime ago. The day unfolded with purpose. Alex finalized a secure database for the foundation, embedding safeguards against hacks. Lena coordinated with her journalist friend, ensuring the Thorn story stayed in the headlines. Ethan drafted legal protections, anticipating Edward's retaliation. The team gathered around the table by evening, mapping their next steps. Isabella stood, addressing them. "This isn't just about us. It's for everyone the Thorns hurt. People like my family, Alex's parents, countless others." Her voice wavered, then steadied. "We're building something bigger than revenge. A legacy." Victor raised his glass, a rare smile breaking through. "To new beginnings," he said. The others echoed the toast, their faces lit with determination. As night fell, Isabella and Victor returned to the balcony. The city glowed, a canvas of possibility. "What's next for you?" Victor asked, his voice low. Isabella leaned closer, her shoulder brushing his. "This," she said, gesturing to the skyline. "Us. The fight." Her eyes met his, and for a moment the world narrowed to just them. The spark between them, kindled in danger, promised something more, a future they'd build together. But in the shadows, Edward Thorne's network stirred. A grainy photo arrived on Alex's laptop, showing Isabella and Victor at the gala. No message, just a timestamp. Yesterday. The threat was clear. The war wasn't over. Isabella felt a chill, but Victor's hand found hers, warm and sure. They'd face whatever came, side by side, their foundation a shield for the vulnerable and a sword against the corrupt.